Welcome to the special meeting of the City Council. The meeting is called to order. I'd like to ask the City Clerk to please call the roll. Councilor.
Councilmember Kendrick absent, all others are present.
Would you all stand with me to recite the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for a brief moment of silence afterwards, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We called a special meeting to consider a closed session item. Angela, do we have any speaker cards for this item?
We do not, sir.
I'd like to also give a reminder that unlike regular meetings, public comments at special meetings are generally only allowed on the specific items listed on the meeting agenda. Okay. I'd like to ask the city attorney to recite the title and lead us in the closed session, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The council is going to adjourn to closed session to discuss conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the closed session. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back from closed session. I'd like to ask our city attorney to report on closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The council met in closed session on the item as listed on the special meeting agenda. Direction was given. No reportable action was taken.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the El Cajon City Council meeting. The meeting is called to order. I'd like to ask the city clerk to please call the roll.
All council members are present.
Would you all please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for a brief moment of silence afterwards. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The city clerk posted orders of adjournment of the January 13th, 2026 meeting and the agenda of the January 27th, 2026 meeting in accordance with state law, city council, and housing authority policy. I would like to once again invite members of the public to attend the 2026 State of the City event. Join us as we reflect on the accomplishments of the past year and share what is coming in the year ahead. This will be held on Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026 at 6 p.m. at the Ronald Reagan Community Center, located at 195 East Douglas. There are no presentations on today's agenda. Staff, do you have any agenda changes?
No, sir.
Council? No. Seeing none. That brings us to consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion according to the recommendation listed below. With the concurrence of a city council, a council member, or a person in attendance may request discussion of a consent item at this time. Council members, do you wish to pull any of the consent items? No. Staff?
No.
Angela, do we have any speaker cards for consent?
No, sir, we don't have any speaker cards.
I'd like to make a motion then to approve the consent items. Second. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
We're now at public comment. At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council, Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time that the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, City Council and Housing Authority members may briefly respond to statements or questions, and an item may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, do we have speaker cards for public comment?
Yes, sir, we have one from Patricia Burnt.
First, I want to pass out some packets that I put together.
If you give it to the city clerk, that'd be fine.
Now, the ones with the stars on those I trimmed it down a little bit because all my references were all over the place, kind of messy. I just want to get the point across. And so I'll wait till you have the packet. Just the ones with the stars are trimmed down. Just my references were very long, so I trimmed those up.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, hi. Good afternoon, City Council and government staff. Today, I am here regarding Mayor William Wells and violation of the Code of Ethics and Conduct, and also a violation of the State of California Constitution, violations of the Ethics and Conduct, as well as the Oath of Office. There's three major sections of the code: public interest, to serve all people equal treatment, and transactions. Secondly is above reproach. The official, meaning everybody here, shall refrain from abusive conduct, personal charges of verbal attacks upon character or motives of other officials and the public. And lastly is integrity, wisdom, and honor. So I know that Mayor William Wells has violated every single one of these areas, and I'm calling today that the council will look to the end of the code, and it just takes one council member to admonish and/or censor Mr. Wells. I called Mr. Wells, Mayor Wells, last year, and about SB 54, trying to get more information on that. Out of the blue, I wasn't talking of Joe Biden. He said to me, Joe Biden is demented. I said, how can you do that, figure that? He goes, well, I'm a psychologist. So it just goes on and on, the smear campaign with public officials. Then attached to this are numerous Facebook, TikTok, OAN network, slams on Joe Biden, slams on fraud in the system. He's getting together with Nick Shirley, who created the Minnesota welfare fraud situation. And I'm pretty sure I heard he and Nick on the interview talking about fraud here and how he's going to address it. So you see all over these Facebook posts, TikTok, Instagram, Mayor Bill Wells of El Cajon. So he's using his title on OAN Network, which is an extreme right conspiracy, on all these mediums, and no one is doing anything about this. So he's putting the city in a horrific light. I have several examples. You could just find 100 of these examples. So this is a violation of his oath of office. Mayor Wells is a very nice man on a personal level that I know of him. He plays music. He has a nice smile. But as a mayor, he is incapable of his job. I want one person, to either censor or admonish him. That's it. That's all I have to say. I think my time's up in 20 seconds. Also, that fraud you're talking about, Arnold Schwarzenegger already put into place in 2004 an act for auditing these so-called NGOs. Now, that's the big conspiracy to get ICE out here. You don't care about human life, Mr. Wells. You know, I just saw a person die today before I got here. So you don't care about that, you know? So I would like you guys to think very seriously about doing something with Mayor Wells, because this is going to go to the next level, the OAG, the city attorney general. And I don't know who's paying to defend the Robert Bonta lawsuit, but I want records of the legal monies. I want records of the money.
Your time was up
I will
quite
bring
a
that
while
next
ago.
week. I will
I let you
put
keep
a list
going.
of the records of what I want from all of you.
No other
Fails?
speakers, sir.
Okay, then. We have one public hearing on today's agenda. Item 9 is to consider approving CEQA exemptions and the amendment of SP 182, that's specific plan 182. Staff will tell us all about this. Hi, Noah.
Hello, Mayor Wells, City Council. Great, thank you. Noah Alvey, Deputy Director for Development Services. Again, here today we're discussing amendments to the municipal code for the zoning code, as well as to specific plan 182, also known as the downtown master plan. So for background, on November 4th of 2025, the Planning Commission initiated our annual zoning code update. These are just common items identified by the staff and Planning Commission throughout the year, and so that process was started on November 4th. Additionally, on November 18th, the City Council discussed lighting and special events on city property in the downtown area and gave us direction to amend the downtown plan. So for the zoning code update, there's quite a few items. There are different miscellaneous items, but the first is to eliminate a requirement for detached single-family garages to have windows on their garage doors. Right now, there's a transparency requirement, and we've had several circumstances where it just didn't make sense to further require that. So we're asking to change that. We're also proposing to allow the emergency sleeping cabin projects that are established to go directly from 6 cabins to 10 cabins. We're doing some updates to definitions for tobacco retailers just to make it clear when a smoke shop and what is a tobacco retailer. And then we're clarifying some of the spatial standards for alcohol sales. No changes in the standards for alcohol sales, just trying to improve that so it can better communicate what's in the code to the public. And then for administrative decisions, as of right now, twice a year, staff is required to go to the Planning Commission and to report on administrative decisions. Over the last year, we haven't really had that large of a volume to report, and so we're asking just to update that so that we do it at a minimum once annually, but twice if necessary. And we do have some other changes as required by state law, primarily related to affordable housing and also for junior and accessory dwelling units. So for specific Plan 182, we are proposing to increase flexibility for lighting on city properties. The intent here was to have a more dynamic response to events that are happening in the community. So the example would be if San Diego State were to win like a national championship in sports, maybe we want to turn all the lights red in downtown. And so this code update would exempt that type of event from zoning code regulations, and that it would allow the city manager or their designee to approve those changes. So the Planning Commission did recommend approval of all of these changes unanimously, and they found so just to increase flexibility for events in the downtown area and just to really clean up and improve the zoning code. So today we're just asking the council to adopt the next resolutions in order for the CEQA exemptions, and then to introduce the ordinances in order approving the updates to the zoning code and the downtown master plan. So that concludes my presentation.
Thanks, Noah. Any questions for Noah? Steve?
Thank you, Noah. Nice, concise. Let's go back to slide 3, please. During the emergency sleeping cabins, I suggested that we not grant an automatic 10 to a new person, but to start at 6. Mm-hmm. And then upon approval of, okay, you know what you're doing, so then you can go to 10. Was that considered?
Yes, that's the process that was approved. So as of right now, you start, if you have a project with 6, currently in the code it says you have to operate for a year, then you can go to 8, and then you operate for another year and you can go to 10. So the code update specifically says if you have 6, you can go directly to 10.
Excellent, thank you.
Any other questions? Steve? Phil?
Thank you very much. The elimination of the requirement for detached garage doors to have windows, is that for the actual large car door to have windows, or the structure to have kind of person windows?
Really just for the garage door. So currently in the zoning code, there's a relief valve that's called an administrative zoning permit. And so we can approve those on a case-by-case basis. And so what we've seen is we've had 2 or 3 instances where someone has like a classic car that they want to store in their detached garage, and they're building it for that specific purpose, and they don't want to have windows in it because they don't want, the paint to degrade, or they don't want the public to be able to see in there. And so after seeing those 2 examples, we realized that we should just have a carve-out exemption for that specifically rather than requiring a process.
That's great. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Noah. Appreciate that. Public hearing is now open. Angela, do we have any speaker cards?
No speaker card, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right. Any further discussion, or would somebody like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for adoption to approve the CEQA exceptions and the introduction of ordinances to amend the Elko Municipal Code and specific site plan 182.
Please vote.
Mr. Mayor, because the resolutions and the ordinances all deal with different subject matter, could we have 4 separate motions related to resolutions, 2 ordinances?
Yeah, let's make Phil earn it.
Can we put the recommendations back up? And I'm looking at my city attorney. You might have to walk me through this. So I'll make a motion to approve the CEQA exemptions. Is that the first one that's appropriate?
For specific plan 182.
For specific plan 182. That'll be my first motion.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
And then I'll make a motion to introduce the ordinances to amend the Elko Municipal Code Title 17. Excuse me.
It would be for the ordinance related to the 182, SP 182.
Specific plan number 182?
Yes.
That'll be my motion.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote, and the title for that ordinance is an ordinance approving an amendment to specific plan number 182 for lighting and events on city property and in rights of way.
Sorry, and if I may, Mayor, the next motion would be to introduce the ordinance in order for the amendments to the Municipal Code Title 17.
We actually
I
need
think
to
we
do the
just did that
resolution
one.
first.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
The
So-
resolution for the CEQA exemption
Yep.
for Title 17 ordinance.
Yeah, so I'd make a motion to adopt the resolutions approving the CEQA exemptions for Title 17.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
And then a motion to approve anything else that we didn't touch.
The ordinance for Title 17.
To approve the ordinance for Title 17.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote, and the title for that ordinance is an ordinance approving an amendment to Title 17 of the El Cajon Municipal Code, zoning code, for housing-related updates, changes in state law, and other non-substantive changes to improve clarity and consistency.
All right. Well done, Phil. Thank you. And Steve. It's a team effort. Okay. We have 2 administrative reports on today's agenda. Item 10 is a report on homeless programs and services. And I'd like to ask staff to tell us about this item.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members.
You know, there's a rule that if you make us wait, you got to tell a joke while you're.
I know, and I'm so bad at jokes, sorry.
Next time.
Next time I'll think of one. My name is Yani Pelayo Brito. I am the Senior Management Analyst with the Development Services Department, Housing Division. Today I will be presenting the 6-month review on the Homeless Programs and Services Report. This is from the period starting July 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025. The goal to this 6-month review is to update everyone on how the city continues to address homelessness through its programs and services. In the last 6 months, we had 14 active programs that included 7 service providers, which also includes nonprofit organizations and city departments. We also used 4 funding sources. That would be CDBG, or Community Development Block Grant, PLHA, Permanent Local Housing Allocation, LMI HAF, Low and Moderate Income Housing Asset Fund, and some general fund. Service providers, as you know, play a very important role in the implementation of these programs and services here at the city. I will go ahead and list them out in alphabetical order. We're going to be starting with Crisis House. They are currently managing the emergency sleeping cabins over at Meridian Baptist Church, and they provide transitional housing with essential services to families and individuals. Using PLHA funds, they're also providing residents with assistance to security deposits, and this allows easier access to permanent housing. They continue to provide outreach through the CDBG grant that they received back in 2021. This was for the acquisition of the new property. And they will be providing outreach at least until 2031. The main focus continues to be homeless persons and victims of domestic violence. East County Transitional Living Center, they have active programs using PLHA and CDBG funds as well. These are for non-faith-based emergency shelter and housing navigation and outreach. As you know, they also do provide other programs, but those are faith-based programs and not funded through the city. That would include their family restoration and other programs for their single males and single females. And the non-faith-based programs funded by the city, they also do include essential and wraparound services. Homestart receives also PLHA and CDBG funding. They have the homeless outreach program that is street-based outreach, and they do sometimes go out and coordinate with the city's police department, homeless outreach team, and other organizations. Resources are provided, such as other programs that they have, the Emergency Housing Placement Program, also funded by the city. They offer case management services, and these are to clients contacted through the outreach events. Lastly, they provide rapid rehousing and rental assistance. This is rental assistance for a minimum of 6 months, or one-time rental assistance or rapid rehousing, again, to assist in providing permanent housing to clients. These are for individuals and families earning less than 30% area median income. Moving on, we have Interfaith Shelter Network. They have the rotational emergency shelter. This is usually completed through the months of January up until March or April. This is rotational shelter throughout East County, and that includes shelter, meals, and support. The goal, again, is to move into permanent housing at the end of the shelter program. And currently, Family Health Center Services is the intake coordinator for this program. Salvation Army offers their reunification program, also known as the A Way Back Home program, reuniting individuals interested in moving back with their families. This includes transportation and food and case management at either 3 months or 6 months. And we have East County Homeless Task Force that receives some general fund, and this is to continue playing an important role in convening, informing and engaging community members and advocating for homeless population. For our city departments involved, these are the Police Department, Public Works, Parks and Rec, and Information Technology. The City Police Department continues to partner with service providers on a weekly basis, providing outreach and engagement efforts. These are coordinated to build rapport, offer services, and connect individuals to available resources. The outreach team consists of the 6 officers, and it's usually typically 3-hour events. The Neighborhood Quality of Life team, this ensures the city's parks, rights of way, and drainage channels are clear of debris and trash. This team is also supported through an urban corp contract for picking up trash as well. Lastly, Information Technology Department plays a part. As you know, they recently provided or created the Homeless Dashboard that is available to the public. They can find it at elcajon.gov/homelessness, and it provides updated information on accomplishments for these programs and services provided. In terms of accomplishments and highlights, we have a total allocation of $1,037,988, total expenditures of $459,848. This resulted in services provided to many individuals. In accordance to the errata that was placed in the dais, here are the corrected numbers. We have a total of 1,529 persons served in the last 6 months. Out of that total, 260 went into permanent housing, 93 into transitional housing, and 401 in emergency shelter. So a person served means that a person receives some type of service or assistance from the programs mentioned. This could be either a contact or they're replaced in permanent housing. The same person can receive the service from multiple programs, but they are not able to receive the same service twice. For Quality of Life team, they were able to conduct 53 cleanups, city streets and city storm channels, and they were able to pick up 389 tons of debris, also city streets and city storm channels. All the information provided today is on attachment 1 of the report. And also, in order to ensure the accomplishments are being recorded correctly and no duplication of benefits occurs, city staff does complete desk monitoring throughout the year. We also verify that the persons served are from El Cajon and that they are meeting compliance with local, state, and federal regulations. The city did contract with RSG for this fiscal year to begin the monitoring services. They already began for CDBG, and they will be moving on to PLHA hopefully next month once the contract is fully signed. Other updates in the report include the completion of the first city-managed count. This was completed January 22nd. Updates will be provided at a later date for City Council. City staff also reported on the feasibility for the encampment storage program, and that was done January 13th. And staff continues to work with the San Diego Rescue Mission for outreach locations in the city. So as a result of the data provided today, here are staff recommendations. To continue funding homeless programs contingent upon available funding, to continue to seek new opportunities, new funding opportunities when feasible to augment existing efforts, to continue financial support for East County Homeless Task Force, to continue support for the emergency sleeping cabins and expansion efforts, to continue providing the 6-month updates to City Council, to report on the city-managed homeless count at a future meeting, and to continue to maintain and update the new homeless dashboard addressing homelessness in our city's website. This ends my presentation, and staff is available to answer questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions? Michelle?
Hi, thank you for the report. It was very detailed-oriented. Question, on the 1,529 people that were made, that you had contact with, served, are those single meaning individual contacts, 1,529 individual contacts, or some of those contacts were multiple, or, one person, multiple visits, multiple contacts?
Some were single individuals and some were with the family.
No, I meant John Doe only contacted you one time, or did John Doe possibly was contacted 5 times?
Yeah, so these are unduplicated number of persons.
Okay. So given that, if I add up the others, the 260, 93, and 401, which may be, different services that they received, I still come up with about 775. What happened to those people?
So the reporting data for today is only specific to those 3 categories. However, we also still have the rest of the persons that were assisted. So those are either still working with their case management.
Okay.
Some might not have been able to follow through with the program. There could be other reasons, but normally it's because they're still working on a case management plan.
Okay, and would add the 1529, would that be individuals, or would some of those numbers, like say one of them would be a family of 4, but only counted as one contact?
We do receive the reporting data as individuals. However, we still do know the number of households, but for reporting, we always do the individual persons, even if they're part of a family.
And the numbers served, how is that in relation to 6 months ago or a year ago? Have the numbers gone up as far as number of people served? Has that number gone up? Has it gone down or stayed the same?
So for this specific report, I believe it has gone a little bit down. I want to say the last report was about 1,700. So it's been somewhat staying the same. However, it is lower than last time.
Okay. And do we receive reports from the various organizations that we support, Crisis House, Meridian, ECTLC. Do we get reports from there from how much money we given them and where that money has gone? And my point is, I'm looking at transparency. That's always been something, especially in the news right now. We want to know, where was that money spent? How was it spent? And is it fulfilling the needs that need to be met? Or does it need to be backed off? I mean,
Yes, as we do receive billing and reporting data from the various agencies that we provide funding to, whether it's monthly or quarterly, and they do spell out exactly what that money is being used for. They usually break it down, and we do a desk audit, ensuring that all the information is submitted to us correctly, and that's when we're able to provide reimbursement. But
Perfect.
yes, we receive full details.
so they submit their receipts, so to speak, and then
Correct.
we reimburse them. And where's that data found that they have submitted? Is that something that we post on our website, or is that something that we would need to go to each individual organization to find out their data?
We do not post billing details, usually due to privacy, because they do
Sure.
provide client information. However, we do know the breakdowns of what these funds are used for. And for example, when we show this data, we know it's either for emergency shelter or rental assistance. So we do see that aspect, but it would be a lot of detail to show all the billing information.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Thank you so much. Nice presentation.
Thank you.
All right. Angela, do we have speaker cards?
No speaker card, sir.
All right. Back to council. Any discussion or somebody like to make a motion? Steve?
Thank you. Let's go back to slide 5. As a taxpayer, the public could say, we spent $459,000. What did we get for our money in helping this condition? Even if you looked at just the 260 who went into permanent housing, you could say that's the graduation, permanent housing. The emergency shelter is 28 days. The transitional housing could be longer than that. But the goal is permanent housing. So if we just said those are the graduates, so to speak, of service, 459,000 divided by 260 is about $1,750. That's very efficient. And what that says is that El Cajon is great at finding efficient and effective providers in this service who coordinate well together. The kudos go to the providers. We fund them, but we're so fortunate to have this group who really is clearly very effective in changing people's lives. So the next step is, how can we get more money from more sources to provide more solutions? I don't know of another city in this region who has this kind of efficiency. We're hearing about millions and billions of dollars going to homelessness, and our partners are getting people into permanent housing for $1,700. I don't know what they could do better. Thank you.
Good point, Steve. Thank you. By the way, I think you're finished, but thank you. You can relax. Anybody else want to make any comments? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll move to receive the report.
All right, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
The last administrative report, item 11, is the draft City Council action plan, and I'll ask our city manager to tell us about this.
Good afternoon, mayors and members of the council. If I can get the presentation brought up. As you recall, last December, the City Council conducted its annual goal-setting session. We did that a little bit earlier than we have in the past. Usually we've done it in January, even early February. I know that it was a crowded time of year, but that was helpful for staff to get that done earlier, and now we can start working some of the things that you talked about into the budget, because we're starting that budget process right now. As you recall, during the goal-setting session, the city continued to prioritize the 6 areas that have been a focus area for the last couple of years. Of those 6 priorities, There were 16 specific goals or objectives that were identified by the city council. Staff took those goals and objectives and identified specific tasks. I mean, there's hundreds of tasks, but really 50 tasks or milestones that are significant that we want to continue to report on, and that's found in the document that was presented in the agenda packet. Just really quickly to go over each of them. For city beautification, the council wanted to continue to focus on sidewalks and streetlights, so we have some goals and plans associated with increasing connectivity within our city and increasing the lighting of our neighborhoods. In terms of infrastructure, there was a focus on long-term planning to understand what are our long-term, not only needs, but how are we going to fund those long-term needs over a longer period of time rather than just year by year. So that's in the goals. In terms of economic development, focus continued to be on Parkway Plaza, renewing the downtown business district assessment, which is moving forward, exploring a vacant lot ordinance that will create some carrots and some sticks to ensure that vacant lots get developed and are utilized in a more productive economic way. And then also to continue the discussion from last year to figure out ways to maximize space around the Magnolia, to activate it, to create some, not only some economic activities, but to spill out into the rest of the downtown and create some additional revenue for the city. In terms of homelessness, we talked about data collection. We just, as Yanni expressed, we just finished our first City Point time count last Thursday, and we're hoping to present that data in the next 1 or 2 council meetings and see what we collected. We won't have data to compare with the regional task forces collection because we won't receive that until at least May, maybe even June. But we'll have some anecdotal evidence and we'll be able to do some comparisons using that. The council wanted to continue to explore the encampment storage, or at least analyze that. That occurred at the last council meeting, so that's check, done. And then council directed staff to explore opportunities for another shelter with the San Diego Rescue Mission. The way that staff interpreted that is that we're not going to go out and look for spots, but as the rescue mission comes to us and says, hey, does this work? Can we explore this? Can we talk to you about this? We have carte blanche ability to do that, and the city council's approval to work with them to look for opportunities when they bring them to us. In terms of public safety, there was 5 specific goals that you talked about. 1, reducing 911 calls specifically to convalescent homes. We're continuing to work on that. Update our privacy policies related to drones and other technologies. We'll be presenting that shortly. Host a series of town hall meetings to talk about fire threats, wildfire threats, wildland fire threats, and preparedness. So we're working on a series of town halls, including a virtual one, so a lot of people can participate. We'll focus them in areas where there are fire hazards. They're right now in more the east end of town. That's where the fire hazard maps really show that there's a problem. And then anecdotally, we've heard a lot of residents concerned in the Fletcher Hills area. So we'll do at least one in each of those areas, and then at least the virtual one. And then a whole series of specific tasks related to the goal of reducing speeding motorists throughout the city. As you recall, last year, the city council approved a pilot program to put speed humps in certain streets. We are still, I think we're on round 3 of the votes. We're trying to get enough votes or enough participation from residents to vote to say, yes, there's a majority that want to do this in your neighborhood. So we're working on that, but that'll be great to see the impacts, positive or negative, of the speed humps and how they reduce speeding. And then in terms of miscellaneous, the continuation of the Veterans Memorial, that is still moving forward. And then an idea of how we can get tickets that we help fund for events that occur at the Magnolia and get them distributed to residents that might be interested. We're looking at some other cities that have done something similar, and we'll be bringing some ideas to the council with some pros and cons of some of those different options. So with that, staff is here to answer any questions that you have. take any modifications that you would like to see to this plan, and then if, once that's done, staff would recommend that the City Council adopt the 2026 City Council Action Plan.
Thanks, Graham. I appreciate that. Any questions for Graham? Any speaker cards on this item?
No speaker card, sir.
Okay. It's back to council for discussion or a motion.
I'll move to receive the report. We have no feedback, and that we approve the 2026 City Council Action Plan.
Before we make that, I'll second your motion, Steve. I just wanted to make a comment to our staff that participated in our point in time count. That was an early morning for a lot of our staff members. It was the first time El Cajon has made a decision to go out into the community and physically ourselves count every single homeless person in our city. And it was a tremendous effort. So I just really want to thank our police, our fire, all of our staff at the city, who some of them volunteered to do this on their own time. It is not, I don't want to understate how big of a commitment that we see from our staff and how valuable it is. And I think it's going to set a standard across the entire county on as some of my colleagues said, accountability, transparency, and accuracy. So with that, I'll second the motion.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
There are no commissioner reports on today's agenda. Item 12 is my activities report. It is as reported. We're at activities reports from council members. Councilmember Goebel.
As reported.
Councilmember Kendrick.
As reported.
Councilmember Mitchell.
As reported.
And Deputy Mayor Phil Ortiz.
I am not the deputy mayor, but it is as reported.
I guess you've been promoted because right here it says.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry. Is that Michelle? Yeah. Michelle, let's do it again. Deputy Mayor Michelle Mitchell.
As reported.
Okay. You know, I noticed that Phil was up here messing with my. Okay, I think it explains a lot. All right. We have a joint councilmember report on today's agenda. Item 17 is from Councilmember Kendrick and Deputy Mayor Mitchell. Who would like to tell us about
Well,
this?
Michelle and I became aware of yet another accident at Dorothy Street and Washington Boulevard, and I think we need to take a look at that just to see if there's anything that we can do. Neither one of us are traffic engineers, so I'd like to send that to the staff.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, I think this has been an intersection that we've discussed with regard to accidents, and I believe Dorothy is one of these streets that we're doing the speed hump survey on. Is that right?
It actually didn't. It was the fourth or fifth one, and
Okay.
you selected 3.
Okay.
However, if one of the streets that you did select doesn't move forward, that would be probably the next street
Great.
we would go and look at.
Yeah, I live on Washington, and it's, Washington's an issue. Maybe included in the study, a stoplight at that intersection of Dorothy and Washington might be appropriate. From Hamishaw to South 2nd, I don't know how far that is, but people can get up to speeds to 60 miles an hour, and the speed limit is 40, 45. And if South 2nd's light is green, they're going at least a quarter of a mile, if not farther, at speeds of 60 miles an hour. And that intersection is 4 lanes. We have a stoplight at other intersections similar to that, and putting that stoplight there, I think is a good idea, but we have to have the traffic engineers check it out.
Is the resident Paul here? Would you like to come up and, if that's appropriate, come up and give your...
I know we visited this many, many times since I became a resident of El Cajon. I don't know how many times I'm up on this podium. So I appreciate Gary. I appreciate you, Michelle, for reaching out. When I did call that afternoon of the accident, Mr. Goldwyn, I've yet to have a response from you. I've left several voicemail messages on your landline. So I don't know what's it going to take. Is it going to take a fatality? Because the last accident, the car was sitting on top of the other car. And once again, Angel, the neighbor of mine, our car was in his property again. March of 2024, the car actually flipped over into his yard. So is it going to take for a fatality? They have 2 small infant children that live in that bedroom. They've already moved their children away from that bedroom, just for the fact that we have such an issue with traffic. I've talked with Mario Sanchez numerous times. I'm not a traffic engineer, but it's not rocket science to figure out if we keep kicking the can down the road, and that's what we're doing. I know you mentioned the speed humps. We were supposed to receive something in the mail. We never did, so that's never gone to our street. So I don't know what it's going to take. It's going to take action on the city council to do something on this street, because at the end of the day, we want to remove all liability on the city. And right now, there's a lot of liability on the city because of this intersection.
So, Mr. Mitchell, did you say that at one point Dorothy and Washington was on the list, but we had to choose the top 3 at the time?
Correct. We identified 5 potential streets that kind of qualified based on some of the parameters that the city council had identified. And based on the budget, there was only enough to focus on 3 of those streets.
Okay.
And there was 3 streets that had more speeding, higher volumes. It made more sense for those streets, and the council decided to focus on those 3. So Dorothy's not on that list of 3. As I said before, in the event that one of the streets that the council's identified as a target street doesn't want to participate, it would probably make sense for Dorothy to be the next street that would be considered.
Agreed. So I think part of the puzzle is maybe in the meantime, until your street moves up the list, or one of the top 3 decide not to move forward with the street humps, is to talk to your neighbors and get them to come together and start getting consensus amongst your neighbors, because that's what it's going to take.
Yeah, and I've had those discussions with all the neighbors. It's hard. I'm only one person. I would be technically the advocate of my street, but with scheduling conflicts, like myself, I had 2 scheduling conflicts this afternoon, and I stepped away from one of them to be here because I'm advocating for our street. But we've been visiting the same topic over and over again. We did the traffic study on the street. They put the speed limit to do the data. They've done traffic studies. I came up and advocated on that, and we reduced the traffic from 45 to 40 miles an hour in Washington. After pecking on Mario's neck like a chicken, saying, what are we going to do to rectify it? We had the stop sign installed on Dorothy. That was a temporary fix. We striped the lanes. That was a temporary fix. So I really don't know what avenue we need to take besides another study.
And I understand your
That's the
frustration.
frustrating part amongst the residents, and it's just we're going to be continuing to talk over and over again on the same subject, and it's like beating a dead horse. But we're going to have to redo the study again. But I'd like to see more police presence on that street, because on a Friday night, it sounds like the Verona drag strip. It is just constant. And I'll invite every single one of you to stand on that corner for an hour or 2. I'll provide refreshments, but it is pretty bad. And you get to a certain point where, what's it going to take? I think it's something we need to act on now. And that's why I reached out to you, and I reached out to Gary, and I appreciate you guys for having those conversations with me. But we're seeing a pattern. It's 2 identical accidents where vehicles has ended up in that neighbor's yard.
I understand. Mr. Mitchell, is that something that we can, and I know you'd have to confirm with the chief, is that something that we can maybe do for a short time, is just increase maybe patrol in the area?
Well, I think the analysis has to be done first.
Okay.
And what we've analyzed in the past is the speed on Dorothy. The analysis has said there's not a big speed problem on Dorothy. The accidents that have occurred, and I've only looked at a map, and I know some details about the last accident, It wasn't the speed on Dorothy, it was a car pulling out of Dorothy and being hit by a car traveling on Washington, probably at a high speed. So Dorothy isn't the issue, Washington is the issue.
Right.
And it's the exact reason why the city council approved the speed grant that will put in a median and do some other traffic calming on Washington in that very area. So hope is on the way. The long-term solution beyond striping is being worked on. I think what I would like to do is, based on the conversation that council's had thus far, is we probably should dig a little deeper in the accidents at that intersection and then determine, is there a better signal? Should a signal occur at that, as Mr. Ortiz suggested? Does it justify it or does it justify it not? And there's math will tell us, the engineering will tell us, does it justify it or not? So if council gives that direction, we can bring that specific study back for council consideration.
What the traffic engineer did last time, all they did was change how long the lights were staying on between first and second. That's all they were doing. So if you're approaching second, all they're doing now, it's the red light stays on longer and the green light stays on shorter. But at the end of the day, when you look at Hamishaw to 2nd Street, that's a huge stretch. And that's just giving them an avenue too. There's street racing there at night on the weekend. So I don't know. That was the last report. And then we actually put temporary speed data on Dorothy, and only one of them worked. So Dorothy and Washington's an issue, and they're using that as a fair way to cut traffic from having to go on to Hamishaw and jump onto Dorothy to cut through to go on to Washington. So this weekend I was doing some yard work. I actually manually counted every single car that went down there because I was going to spend the whole day out there doing gardening and doing some cleanup. I counted 86 cars just on Sunday alone. That's a lot of traffic for a residential area. So I don't know, and that's on a Sunday. If I would have stayed up there on a Saturday and count how many cars are going through Dorothy, I would say that's quite a lot for a residential area. 86 cars on a Sunday from the time I was out there from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So I hope we can, speed things up. I feel like it's like watching paint dry.
I think Steve wanted to comment.
There's two issues here. It's the speed on Washington. You're right. That's what we have to look at. And it's something needed to slow it down there like a light. A second issue is the longstanding concern about speeds on Dorothy. That's a second issue. As far as your comment about not receiving something in the mail, I would ask the city manager to contact the speaker to say, okay, where's the disconnect? I mean, I don't know if it would help for him to go door to door with the petition or if it has to be done by the city. I'll let you two guys.
Just to help with speeding up the process, I agree with you 100% there. I mean, the last incident that we had was that newly stop sign that I advocated for. Well, somebody punched it from that stop sign halfway down Dorothy, made contact with 2 cars and flipped over. So I don't know what else we can do on that
I know.
street.
At some point, you can't legislate morality.
No.
And
it's getting
we are
tough.
talking about the 1%.
And I don't want to be a vigilante, and I've had to on that street. And I'll come out and I've thrown my trash cans out there empty,
but
slowing
you're right.
these cars down.
But you're right.
But I don't want to do that. I want to be a vigilante.
May I complete my thought? You're right. The 1% that does punch it and crash is very dangerous. We absolutely have to try to do what we can do. I think the city manager was getting ready to say something about you participating in the survey process, or maybe he wasn't.
We would, if there was what staff does, when we go out and do the vote, staff doesn't feel comfortable. We think that we would taint the vote to pressure people if we went around door to door, right? If staff did. But if there was an advocate in that neighborhood that was passionate about it, we would definitely encourage them to talk to their neighbors and push for it. I think that makes a lot of sense.
This is
Oh,
a
give me
golden
something on
opportunity
official
for
city
you.
Memorandum paper and all. I've already walked that street before many times, so.
So it's
I'm more than happy to definitely help.
there
with
you
that.
go. We found a way to fast track a concern for you. I think it's good. As far as the voicemails, I'm sorry, I haven't.
Gary called me and apologized like 3 days later from the bottom of his heart. He was apologizing more than the conversation. But yeah, I think your phone systems are, unless you guys have like chiefs of staffs, which I doubt, but I accept your apology, but it's something that's, I've become very passionate now. It's safety on that street. There's so many kids on that street.
I'm sorry, I don't remember receiving your voicemail. So I'll be glad to give you my cell phone.
Gary mentioned it, that the system's awful and getting voicemails. So
I'll be glad.
Maybe put that in your budget. Get that fixed. But I definitely appreciate you to help me out with this. And I think moving forward, we can do tremendous things. But
I'll be glad to give you my cell phone number so that we can bypass the city system. Sounds like you have a golden opportunity to get this thing going.
definitely, I appreciate you guys listening. And I don't know, I would hate to see a fatality on that street. So
This is maybe a question to staff. I know that traffic studies, and when we look at historical accidents, it's only accidents that are reported. But we've seen time and time again, there's more accidents that occur on streets and intersections that are not reported. Some of them are sometimes serious. And I think, is there a way for staff to assume that there's, anytime that there's X amount of accidents reported, we can assume that there's physically more accidents happening that are not reported?
We won't build that into the model, but I think as we present the data, I think
Anecdotally?
council can kind of take that data and go, the city manager says 8, but based on my experience, it's probably 12, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever model you want to use.
Yeah.
And then we can help you understand whether that would help qualify for something. But I mean, we only can rely on the data that we have.
Yeah, and it's just, we're stuck between, I understand that the concept and the standards of warrants, in order to put speed bumps or stop signs or stoplights on California streets. We're still guided by that, but it's extraordinarily difficult when we know that there's more accidents happening. Sometimes people have, private Ring camera doorbell footage of it. It's on camera, but it's not reported, and that still can't be included. And so maybe just, I want to get that out in the open that, a lot of what's being guided is by the rules as a city we have to follow legally. So if there's accidents, please report them. As a resident, please report every single one, because cumulatively they add up, and it allows the city to take quicker and swifter action when the accidents are reported, to show that there's data for our decisions. So please report every accident, even if the police officer doesn't come out, report it so it can be in our.
is there a suggestion I can make? I've known that other municipalities will put a temporary light into place. They're just trailers that have a light pole installed on them. That could be definitely a good pilot program and get your data off of that as well. Just a temporary light and see what type of reaction. If it cuts traffic from Hamishaw from Dorothy into Washington, that could be definitely an alternative, using a temporary light just to see how they would react to it.
I think these are all good suggestions. I think the one thing I can't imagine it, but does anybody have any objections to us asking the city manager to take this forward? Okay, so we're going to go out with the city manager. Thank you for coming and telling us about this. That's how we
Thank
get
you.
things
I don't know if
accomplished.
there's something you want me to fill out for my contact information. I can go door to door for you.
Just give it to the city clerk.
I'll be more than happy. Whatever I can do to help you, that's the reason why I moved to El Cajon. So
Thanks for coming, sir.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you
much
for your
appreciate
time.
it. Okay. So do I have speaker cards on this item?
No other speakers, sir.
Graham, you don't need us to vote on this, do you? You've got the
I
direction.
received the direction. Thank you.
There are no general information items, no first or second reading of ordinances on today's agenda. We are now at closed session. The city attorney will recite the title and lead us into the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The council will meet in closed session on number 18 as listed on the agenda, conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion then to go into closed session. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
We'll be back very soon to conclude the meeting. Thank you very much.
Item 18, direction was given, no reportable action was taken.
This brings us to the adjournment, the adjourned regular joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council, El Cajon Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency, held this 27th day of January 2026, is adjourned till Tuesday, January 27th, 2026, at 7 o'clock p.m. See you tonight.